Hi, I trust you're well today. So far, we have looked at cereals, starchy roots, and tubers. We've looked at vegetables, and today we are looking at fruits. If you remember in my introductory video, I did mention that vegetables and fruits have similar nutritional properties, but in Zambia, we have decided to separate the two. So vegetables are a group on its own and fruits are a group on its own. In most countries, even when you Google food groups, you'll see that vegetables and fruits are one group. But in Zambia, we decided to do that because, firstly, most of our vegetables have to be cooked. The process of cooking, whether you like it or not, it doesn't matter how good a cook you are going to lose some nutrients. Actually, science has it that 50% of nutrients are lost when you actually cook your vegetables. Of course, certain nutrients, especially vitamin C, certain B vitamins as well, may be lost, and a number of other properties that could be lost. But because we cook our vegetables, at least most of our vegetables, I can only name, I think, probably 5 vegetables that I know in Zambia that we do not cook. And even if we do not cook them, majority of Zambians do not eat them. Lettuce, for example, broccoli, cauliflower, those are more like exotic vegetables, but our traditional or indigenous vegetables, majority, if not all, have to be cooked. And so because of that cooking process that results in nutrients being lost, if we put vegetables and fruits in the same group, you see that you're eating a lot more vegetables and less fruits, but the nutrients you're supposed to get are actually not gotten because they are lost in the process of cooking. So because fruits are eaten raw, we said, let us have fruits as a separate group so that we encourage consumption of fruits in their raw form, because most of them are eaten raw. I don't know of any fruits that have to be cooked. Of course, we do know there are all these pies that you can have apples in, cooked pears and so forth. But really, let's be honest, we have to eat our fruits mainly raw. And so because of that, we separate it. That's number one. Secondly, it's also because we poorly cook our vegetables. Really, we have sang this song in communities teaching people how to cook, but unfortunately, we always fall into the adding of soda, boiling until they are brown, and so on and so forth. So the nutrients that you lose in vegetables can be regained in the fruits that you eat. So every day you need to eat at least 2 fruits. According to our recommendations based on the food-based dietary guidelines for Zambia, you need to eat at least 2 fruits of different colors. So if you're eating a banana, you can have it with a mango. And let's not forget our indigenous fruits as well. Amasuku, intungulu, viwawasha, too numerous to mention, muchinga. Those are all fruits. I remember being part of a survey some time back, and I reached this household and I asked, okay, have you had any fruits? And they'll tell you no, with that face of like, really? Fruits in our area? We don't have fruits, we can't afford them. But when you ask, you probe further and say, okay, did you eat amasuku? When you know clearly that it is in season in that area, did you eat amasuku? Yes, amasuku, we pick in the forest amasuku all the time, and yeah, the kids eat them and da. And that's a fruit. They look like, oh really? Yeah, it is a fruit. So let us not undermine or underestimate the power of our indigenous fruits. They are very important. In fact, they do contain more nutrients than most exotic fruits. I'll give you an example of maguyu. Maguyu contain 10 times the vitamin C in oranges. But when you have a cold and flu, what does the media tell you need to consume? Eat more oranges. Buy vitamin C from the pharmacy. Pop in those pills, that is your vitamin C. But you forget that maguyu, which is probably free, you have the tree in your backyard, or you can get it at 3-5 kwacha at the market. You are being asked to buy an orange, which is 10 kwacha, 15, I don't know now, when you can buy a mabuyu or even guavas actually, which have 5 times the vitamin C in oranges. But we tend to think, again, it's probably what the media feeds us, where we think our own foods are inferior. It's the exotic fruits that are better than the fruits that we grew up eating. The nutrients that are very common in fruits are vitamin A, especially in the orange-colored fruits. Fruits are the best sources of vitamin C, as well as iron that we can get from fruits. and also fiber. Let's not forget that. And I'll get to that very quickly. But let's focus on the nutrients, vitamin C, vitamin A, as well as iron. You find that vitamin C is actually an important nutrient. It's not just for fighting colds and flu, and it's not just to be consumed in the cold season, but really vitamin C is an important nutrient for the absorption of iron. And 58% of Zambian children do not have sufficient iron. 31% of women of reproductive age, that is between the ages of 15 and 49, do not have sufficient iron. And this is dangerous because iron is very important in the growth and development of a child. So imagine if I fell pregnant and I don't have enough iron in my system, what happens is that I'm depriving the development of the child, because iron is an important nutrient for IQ, basically cognitive development. 2 to 3 IQ points can actually be increased with iron consumption. And it's the same vitamin C which helps the absorption of iron. So when you eat iron-rich foods, make sure that you also accompany them with vitamin C-rich fruits. And what better way to get vitamin C than from fruits? And not just any fruits, our indigenous fruits. Makole, ngai. Ngai is another fruit which is high in vitamin C. Also mpundu, very high in A as well as C, as well as even iron. When a fruit has both iron and vitamin C, what happens is that it can actually, when you consume them, they activate each other. So vitamin C now helps the absorption of that iron. So really, you cannot go wrong with fruits. They have immense functions. And because they are mostly eaten raw, you are getting at least a good amount of nutrients compared to the cooked vegetables. Another important function of fruits is that they contain fiber, what we call dietary fiber. You call it roughage as well. The difference is that the roughage in cereals, the roughage in vegetables as well is very good, but fruits contain what we call soluble fiber as well. What we mainly get in cereals, maybe except oats, oats do also contain soluble fiber, but it's mainly what we call insoluble fiber, the GAGA, right? Which bulks up our fecal matter and makes it easy to pass the stool or the waste products of body metabolism, right? But then the soluble fiber is important in the prevention of cancer, the prevention also of constipation, because you can have GAGA collected together, but it hardens in the system, especially when you're not consuming enough water. So you find that, it forms this hard dirt in your gut system, and it makes it very difficult to pass stool. So you find that you're eating quite a lot of fibrous foods, but when you go and do number 2, it's a job on its own. You have to squint and, make a face before you can actually get relieved. But soluble fiber from fruits, mangoes, which are in season right now, and they are going out of season. So really stock up on that, eat a lot of them, and also dry them if you can. So a lot of fruits contain both insoluble as well as soluble fiber. And so when it gets in your guts, it actually helps to, one, prevent especially colon cancer. When I say at risk, maybe in terms of family history of colon cancer or any kind of cancer, but really just for all of us. You don't have to wait to see a problem for you to do the right thing. You can actually start way early so that you push some of these diseases, some of these conditions way in your 80s, 90s, or maybe never at all. Why not? The problem is that we store a lot of fecal matter for far too long. The normal time period for excretion to happen is really after a meal. That's after every main meal. Let me just say every day. The reason why some of us may take 2-3 days, 4 days, others even a week, is because you're probably not getting in enough insoluble fiber, number 1, which bulks up at least the dirt. And also you are not getting in enough soluble fiber, which not only fights cancer, but also softens the stool, so that when you actually go and do your number 2, it actually just slides off gracefully. So that's about soluble and insoluble fiber, and you get them from fruits. But one thing I also want to tell you about fruits is that they are high in sugar. It's sugar that is natural. Yes, you say it's sugar that is what we call intrinsic sugar. It comes with the food, which is true and it's good. But we should remember that sugar is sugar. And so those who sit with a bucket of masuku and eat the whole masuku because it's in season, mm-mm. It is not a good idea because it's in excess, really, and you do not want to overdo things. When I say 2 fruits, it's mainly the whole fruit. Say like a mango, you can have 2 small mangoes with maybe 1 banana, an orange with a handful of masuku, rather 2 handfuls of masuku, so it would look like that. That's because fruits vary in terms of glycemic index. I know, big word, don't worry, let's understand it. What we mean by glycemic index is the rate at which your sugar levels increase when sugar gets into your body. When you eat any food that contains carbohydrate, how quickly does your sugar go up? Your blood sugar levels, that is. If it spikes too quickly, the food is known to be of high glycemic index. So the same with fruits. We have different categories of fruits. Fruits have different glycemic index. So they'll spike your sugar levels differently. As healthy as they are, they can actually shoot. I'll give you a good example of, say, watermelon. Very good fruit. Any fruit and maybe vegetable that is red in color has a form of vitamin A, which we call lycopene, which has very important nutrients. For example, fighting of prostate cancer in our male folk. It's a different form of vitamin A, which especially fights off cancer. So tomatoes would be a good example. That's in the vegetable category. And in the fruit category, it would really be the red fruits like plums, for example, watermelon. So watermelon is a good fruit, but it has a high glycemic index. So it will actually spike your sugar levels fairly quickly. So my colleagues out there or friends out there who are diabetic, I'll actually advise you to be very careful with your fruits and be selective with your fruits. Don't overindulge. I actually do not agree that there are certain foods that people should eat and foods that other people should not eat. It's really about the way that we eat. Depending on your condition, your age, your needs as well. Are you a very active person or are you not an active person? For children, really, give them as they desire because they are very active. And so as long as the food is healthy, give it to them. Fruits, let them consume. But the older you grow, you have to be now wary about diabetes. There is hypertension, there is so forth and so on. That basically is about fruits. But what about fruit juices? That's another area that I'm asked a lot about. Like, what fruit juice is good? The best fruit juice is the one that you make on your own, one that you squeeze out, especially for young children. Even if you're going to add sugar, at least you get to control the amount of sugar that you add to the fruit juice. Like I recently made mabuyu drink. I also made viwawasha drink, which we enjoy a lot in our household. We make our own fruit juice from time to time, made from mabuyu, oranges as well, when in season, even eating the orange fruit whole instead of squeezing out. Because when you squeeze out, quite all right, you get the soluble fiber, but you are doing away with what we call the insoluble fiber, the fibrous gaga. If possible, don't rely on fruit juices alone to get fruits, but also consume the fruit whole. It also helps with lowering what we call the glycemic index, how quickly your sugar spikes, not so. That fiber is also important. But if you have to consume fruit juices, consume nothing more than 250 mils. 250 to 500 mils of fruit juice is enough, especially for kids when they're going to school. I know nowadays they're drinking bottles of all sizes, even this big, but let's be mindful because at the end of the day, it's calories or energy. So those who are planning to lose weight, you may be saying, oh, I only eat fruits. Are you sure you're going to lose weight on fruits? You probably still gain and you probably struggle with your weight loss if you're relying a lot on fruits. Like I said, where because they're in season, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to eat 10 mangoes at a go. I'm going to be buying concentrated fruit juice. Aha, that's another area. Ooh, Concentrated fruit juices, these so-called 100% fruit juices, you know them. Quite expensive, but those that can afford think, oh, okay, this is healthy. Firstly, they are reconstituted, right? Meaning they dry the fruits. They take mango, quite all right. It's 100%, yeah? They take mango, they dry the mango, so the mango now becomes very concentrated. And because the mango is very concentrated in the powder form, it's maybe when you take a handful of powdered mango, it's as good as maybe 20 mangoes, right? Now, 20 mangoes, you add water to it and you put it in a container, 1 liter. I think they are 1 liter, most of them. 1 liter container. So 20 mangoes compressed in 1 liter. Now, when you take 250 mils of that, it's like you've probably even taken 5 mangoes. Now, you tell me, 5 mangoes at a go, that's a lot of calories. That's a lot of energy. And if you are not physically active, what happens is the body is overwhelmed with this sugar. Like, okay, you've given me so much sugar, but you're not using it. So I'm going to just pack it into fat cells, and that's how come you gain weight, or you actually struggle to lose weight and you wonder, okay, but I've been doing A, B, C, D, why am I not losing weight? The only food or food group though where I would encourage you to just go wild is vegetables. Vegetables are like a vehicle with good fuel consumption. They don't contain much energy. And so, but fruits, you need to be careful, especially with these juices that we consume. And I think you need to be careful with these commercially produced fruit juices. I know of a commercial drink that says it contains 12 vitamins, and I don't know if it's 9 minerals, and it's made from real fruit juice. Guys, we are better than that. Let not these manufacturing companies play with our minds like that. All they want is a little buck from you. They play with your mind. They put all these marketing gimmicks just to lure you into buying their products. And then when you buy their products are basically sugar and water. And that's what we are consuming. But on the label, they'll tell you how it contains 100% fruit juice. They'll draw pineapples and oranges and bananas on the sticker, and you look at it and say, that's my fruit. No, they contain basically nothing. It's just sugar. Let's be very careful. How you can know whether a fruit juice is telling the truth in the packaging is the ingredients list. They'll never lie to you there. That's because it's law. You have to tell me what you have put in this drink. The label there, the ingredients list, will tell you the truth. The ingredients list is listed in descending order. So the first ingredient that is listed is actually the one that is highest in concentration. So even if they claim to say this is real banana drink, this is real mabuyu drink, look at the ingredients list. Where in the list does it fall? That same fruit that they are claiming it has. So if, let's say, it said made from real mangoes, right? Check the ingredients list. If mango is like number 7 after all those chemicals that they put, all those complicated names, and then mango pow comes like right at the end, then you know that, you are lying. Or they'll just say mango flavor, flavorant. They create flavors in the lab. They say, okay, mango tastes like this. Put it in the drink. You're tasting it and it's like, oh, it tastes like mango. Oh, it tastes like guava. But is it real guava? And even if it is real guava that is inside, how far along in the list is it? Most drinks, the first ingredient is water. After water, sugar. After sugar, preservatives. And then at the end, that's when they'll tell you guava pulp. So how I actually advise clients is that look at the first 3 ingredients. I can push it maybe to 5. If the first 5 ingredients are not good, when I say not good, I mean just water, sugar, and complicated names that you can't even read, just know it is not good for you. What you want in the first 3 or 5 ingredients is something good. Like if it says mango or guava in the first three, at least even especially the first three ingredients are very important, right? If it's just water and sugar, be very careful. Probably remove that from your eating plan, your diet. The concentrated drinks, again, not all of them. You have to be careful because there's so many on the market. Others actually have a lot of chemicals, including what we call aspartame. There is one popular one that has been in Zambia forever. I'll not mention the name, but just look at the label. It contains aspartame. It's not good for your health. The reason why many people prefer that one is because you actually just add a little bit of it and a lot of water, and so it basically lasts for a longer time. If you are going to consume other fruit juices that are concentrated, look out for the label. Yes, it will contain preservatives. All of them do contain preservatives, but it's also about, number one, how concentrated are you making it and you're giving it to your child, and then also how often. I would rather the child consumes more water. If you cannot make your own juice at home, maybe it runs out quicker than the concentrated drink. I understand. Practically, it's very difficult to make sure that you have a fruit juice readily available at home that is healthy, that is freshly made. But if you have to give the concentrated drinks, which would be for me the second option, but choose a good one that, of course, does not promise too much. I know you want value for money, but at the end of the day, value for money should also come with nutrition consideration. So when you're going to buy concentrated fruit juice, pick the right one. It should be 1/4 to 3/4 water. So 1/4 of the fruit juice and 3/4 of water, not half and half. Many people do half and half, and you taste the drink and it's really sweet. I've been in homes where they actually serve you juice and they make the juice for you. I often have to ask for water. Like, can I have more water, or can I share this with you? Because it's too sweet. So just make sure that 1/4 to 3/4, even less than 1/4 if you can. I know for my son, I've done that. Less than 1/4. So he just gets that. It's really water that he drinks, but just that, color and change to trick him. Because you see, these juices contain a lot of what we call sweeteners. And sweeteners, the problem, and science has shown that sweeteners like sorbate, aspartame, and xylitol alter your taste buds to the point where you bite into an apple that has natural sugar and you feel as if there is no sugar, because you're so used to the sweetness of this sweetener, especially also sweeteners that are produced for diabetics like Canderel. Those are also not good. I know your doctor may have actually told you, look, you can actually take sweeteners instead of honey or instead of sugar itself. Science has shown that there are certain sweeteners that can actually cause cancer, like aspartame is one of them. So I would rather you do away with sweeteners all in all, but if you can't, like in the case of concentrated juices, I would advise that you control the amount that you take in. That way you allow your body to clean it out. The problem is that we overload our body with bad stuff. The liver does a good job at detoxing. The body is a complete system on its own, but it doesn't mean it has to be overwhelmed. It doesn't mean it has to be strained. So even if you're going to put in something that is not healthy in you, make sure it is not that overwhelming. Or don't put it in at all. Like for adults, really, concentrated fruit juice, no. What for? Take more of the natural fruit juices that you can make at home, or water, which is the best drink you can ever have, really. I'm really emphasizing on this because I'm really torn. I'm really torn between affordability, practicality, and also nutrition, right? Like many of us are. I am also in that area where I'm like, okay, is this good? Is this bad? Bad for nutrition, but practical. So to balance it up, my advice again to you for concentrated fruit juice is tone down on the amount, especially giving children before meals. Any small, you give the juice, you give juice. No, tell them you only have, because it's hot, because you have sports, you only have 500 mils or 1 liter max. So manage it well. You're still watching, right? Good. So let's explore ways to eat better. There'll be a new video from me every Tuesday at 6 a.m.